Russia and Algeria agree on the need of a political settlement in Syria. Our armed forces target Jabhat al-Nusra gangs in Hama and Dar'a and intercept attempts of infiltration into Syria. The Lebanese Army pursues armed men in Sidon and dismantles landmines planted by terrorist al-Asir and his gang in Abra. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Irado Krikorian from the News Center in Damascus. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that his country and Algeria agree on the need of a political solution to the crisis in Syria. Lavrov's statement came during a joint press conference held with his Algerian counterpart Mourad Mdelsi, who is currently visiting Moscow. The talks between the two officials covered the crisis in Syria, the situation in South Africa and the economic relations between the two countries. Lavrov said, France is fighting terrorism in Mali, yet it is offering support for the terrorists who had moved from Libya to Syria. On his part, Mdelsi praised Russia's efforts in cooperation with the USA to hold an international conference on Syria in Geneva. Mdelsi said the world community should support the reconciliation and national dialogue process in order to halt the violence in Syria. The Russian ambassador in Jordan, Alexander Kalugin, today warned that the deployment of American military troops and equipment in Jordan does not help reach a solution to the crisis in Syria. In an interview with the British Financial Times Daily, Kalugin said that the presence of more troops in the region will not help the situation, particularly after the Russians had agreed with the Americans on calling on all parties in Syria to sit at the table of talks and start dialogue. The American Los Angeles Times Daily had recently stressed that elements from the CIA and the American special troops have been present in Turkey and Jordan, where they had been training armed men from the Syrian opposition, that is months before the White House's declaration of its intention to increase the military assistance to the opposition. An official who did not wish to disclose his identity said teams of the American special troops had chosen the armed men who were trained last year when the American army started regional supply lines to the armed groups in Syria. The paper said such training began in November 2012 in an American military base southwest of Jordan, pointing that the training period lasted for 2 weeks with the participation of 20 to 45 opposition fighters in each course. However, Jordanian Prime Minister Abdullah Nasser denied such reports. Welcome back. In Dar'a, armed forces chased terrorist gangs downtown the city and the surrounding villages, killing and wounding a large number of them, including sniper Mustafa Dabbour. The army also intercepted an attempt by terrorists to attack military checkpoints in Dar'a suburbs, eliminating a large number of them and destroying their weapons and ammunition. Our armed troops, moreover, tightened control on the buildings near the National Hospital, the Social Insurance Branch and Abdulaziz Mosque in the city after eliminating several members of the armed terrorist groups who were inside. In Hama suburbs, our armed forces carried out a series of operations in several areas, destroying Jabhat al-Nusra terrorists' hideouts. The army eliminated a number of armed men, injured others, and destroyed their weapons that included heavy machine guns. In Homs and its suburbs, the army has eliminated a number of terrorists near the athletic club in Arrestan city and destroyed their weapons and ammunition, including a heavy machine gun. An army unit has meanwhile destroyed an armed terrorist group's hideout near the swimming pool in Tal Dahab village in Al-Hawleh. On the other hand, the Syrian Arab army killed a number of terrorists in an ambush for an armed terrorist group near the crossroad of a Sukkari village in Palmyra countryside, seizing their weapons along with 3 pickups, 2 of which were equipped with heavy machine guns. The Syrian Arab Army has established security and stability in the area of Ghalioun mountain in Tel Kalakh after chasing the armed terrorist groups and discovering a tunnel leading to Tel Kalakh. Earlier, while raiding a terrorist hideout in Tel Kalakh, the Syrian Arab Army discovered a hideout that contained a number of rockets and mortar shells, as well as a set of landmines and explosive devices that were ready to blow up, in addition to a large amount of explosives. Iran has strongly condemned the crime of brutally killing 4 Egyptians and wounding 8 others by Takfiri terrorists in Abu Muslim village in Al-Asir governorate in Egypt. The Iranian Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Iran was confident that the Egyptian people will behave intelligently regarding the conspiracy targeting them, which aims at sowing sedition just as they were able in the past to conquer the Zionist plot and instigating differences between the Muslims and Christians. After spending 18 years in power, the Emir of Qatar, Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, announced quitting office and handing it over to his son. Hamad justified his decision, saying it was time to open a new page in which a new generation will be shouldering the responsibility. The Emiri office had earlier called on Qatari citizens to swear allegiance to the new Emir today and tomorrow in the Emiri office. Depending on Western media reports, observers expect the transition of power in Qatar to include the quitting of another person, who is the Prime Minister and also the Foreign Minister, Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani, who is considered by many as the actual ruler of Qatar. The Lebanese Army has taken full control of the complex of terrorist Sheikh of Sedition, al-Asir, in Sidon. The Lebanese Army also carried out a series of raids to chase the terrorists in Sidon, defusing landmines that were planted by the terrorist and his group in the area of Abra. The incidents in Sidon resulted in the killing of 16 Lebanese soldiers and the wounding of several others. Meanwhile, a roadside bomb exploded on the road of Al-Masna, inflicting material damage only. Finally, in Turkey, public protests continued against Erdogan's government all over the country as Erdogan's forces tried for the 3rd consecutive week to crack down on the demonstrations using tear gas and water cannon. Erdogan's forces raided many houses in Ankara today morning, arresting 20 people who took part in the demonstrations that called for Erdogan to step down and demanded to hold him as accountable for the crimes committed by his forces against the peaceful protesters. A report by Turkish police showed that 5.2 million Turks took part in the protests, which have been held across Turkey since the 31st of May. The report added that about 5,000 demonstrators were arrested. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Nariman Qassam after a short break.